owe it to them. I do owe it to them.
I am indeed to choose from.
Carrie, are you gay?
I am indeed, yes,
Carrie,
sir.
you're fired.
Long time. I love you long time. Long That's such a funny one, man. I love those stupid stereotypes. I have a dumb sense of humor. Yo, where is my stupid game? Doop 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 doop. Oh. Shut up, I shouldn't be going live on YouTube. Fired. Thank God.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Another one bites the dust. This is the third commie teacher to get fired in the last 3 weeks for being exposed as not teaching you how to think,
guys.
Not teaching you what to think. There's a very, very clear difference. A bunch of liberals looking like absolute buffoons on this one, claiming that it's cancel culture or anti-education. The fact that Republicans want these types of school teachers who are trying to turn your kids into literal communist activists and pushing crazy, wacko ideas on your kids in an aggressive manner, not really giving them a choice of what to think, but rather forcing them to submit to and absorb Marxist ideology. But of course, they're absolute hypocrites. This specific liberal Orange County teacher, probably teaching in a very liberal school with a bunch of liberal parents, didn't get canceled by the MAGA crowd. She was removed from her position by liberal Californians. Not to mention, Dems of course acting holier than thou. It's totally okay for teachers to try to indoctrinate your kids with left-wing ideology and to make them pledge allegiance to the rainbow flag. But what if you flipped it? And what if the teacher was forcing kids to pledge allegiance to the Gadsden flag, to the Kekistani flag, or to a Trump flag? What if that teacher was fired? Democrats would be cheering. There's just too much double standard and hypocrisy in their arguments. Once again, trying to defend the indefensible. The right thing was done here. Let me update you guys on the situation with this teacher specifically, and then we'll get into some other topics and some other articles that I think are quite related. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We're still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look right over here. Update: liberal Orange County teacher removed from classroom after students pledge allegiance to the pride flag. An absolutely good riddance. Now, I don't get solace in somebody losing their job, losing their livelihood, but you gotta do the pros and cons. Either save the children from this type of teacher, or save her livelihood. And I'll take the students each and every single time. Orange County, California has previously reported in a video uploaded to her previously public TikTok account, 11th grade high school teacher, we'll blur out her name, we're not gonna go there, at Back Bay High School in the Newport Mesa Unified School District, revealed that she doesn't make kids say the Pledge of Allegiance, and that she also doesn't have a Star-Spangled Banner in her classroom. This individual teacher claims that she took down the flag during the COVID-19 pandemic because it, quote, made her uncomfortable. And instead, while giggling, she made the claim that she is telling her students to pledge allegiance to the rainbow flag, and of course probably various other left-wing causes. And in that shocking video, she even claimed that her students were uncomfortable with it, yet she completely dismissed it and forced it on her students either way. This is not an educator. This is a Twitter activist who's made Twitter activism her entire persona in life and is pushing it onto her students and not allowing them the ability to critically think. It's an absolute disservice to American children. And on top of that, to claim that the American flag somehow makes you uncomfortable, to disrespect the country that has given you everything, and to try to bring up the next generation as American-hating Gen Zers, like we need more of those, is equally as despicable. That is not what education is supposed to be. And this is why we have to continue this pressure. For the first,
there are 3 tactics in Warpath everyone should know. The third best is guerrilla warfare. With this, you'll use light tanks that can advance and retreat quickly. Do this until your opponent becomes tired and annoyed. By this time, their power will have been depleted enough.
It seems as though liberals are finally being held to account. You know, for the most part, Democrats and especially far lefties on Twitter, etc., have had incredible social power, and it's through their relentless activism. They make noise and they get things done. Well, it seems as though conservatives are starting to do the exact same thing, finally, standing up for what they believe in, standing up for what they know is wrong, and making noise. These teachers on TikTok bragging about indoctrinating your children, bragging about how they teach a completely biased curriculum and how they're turning your kids into Democrat liberal soldiers or Marxist soldiers instead of free thinkers, just proves how invincible they really think they are. The fact that they can go on TikTok and record this stuff, expose themselves, and expect absolutely no repercussions whatsoever. Well, finally, this movement to pay attention to what's going on with CRT, to start challenging it at school board meetings, to ban it on a state level or on a federal level, and to apply social and political pressure on these teachers, resulting on them being removed from the classroom, well, it's about damn time that we play the same game that the Democrats have been playing to garner all of this social power. They're going to continue to use activism the way that they have been, to not fight for causes, but to attack the right. Well, it's time to stand up to their pressure. It's time to shine a light on these quote-unquote educators. Here's another one. LA Teachers Union boss says there's no such thing as a learning loss. The head of the LA Teachers Union says learning loss during the pandemic isn't real. Instead, she says that there is no such thing as a learning loss. Of course, the head of teachers unions, who have been failing students over the last couple of years, as they have absolutely had learning loss and are falling behind pretty much every other nation out there, would say something like that because they're more focused on not going back to school and not working than they are actually serving the kids. But take a look at how ridiculous this gets. Our kids didn't lose anything, she said. It's okay that our babies may not have learned all of their timetables. They learned resilience. They learned survival. They learned critical thinking skills. They know the difference between a riot and a protest. They know the words insurrection and coup. And so you see how it's all politically biased. Let's go through each of those statements. They may not have learned their times table. She essentially admits that public schools and teachers unions are failing to teach children the basic necessities that they need to be functioning members of society. They learned resilience. You know what? This one's probably true, but in a little bit of a different way. They've learned resilience going through wacko teaching lessons and all these crazy draconian measures that you have inflicted on them. They learned survival. No comment. They learned critical thinking skills. Objectively, they have not, which you once again disprove with your follow-up statement. They know the difference between a riot and a protest. If you're referring to how CNN classifies a riot and a protest, then objectively you have failed. Because apparently $2 billion in damages, burning buildings, burning courthouses, over 40 lives lost, and senseless violence against police officers is a protest to these Democrats. That's what the LA Teachers Union is focused on teaching your kids. What an insurrection and a coup is. Oh, those evil Trump supporters and that insurrection that totally happened, even though the FBI literally came out with a report that claimed that it didn't. And clearly, you in fact do not know the difference between an insurrection and a protest that got a little rowdy. If you're a parent living in California, then I don't know what to tell you. Why are you still there? Now, this last one comes from Project Veritas. We gotta speed this up a little bit. Whenever I make these videos, I just rant, and we're already pretty late into the video. Sacramento high school teacher caught an undercover video bragging about indoctrinating students to become Antifa revolutionaries, views children as martyrs for the cause.
I have 180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you scare the fuck out of them?
Sacramento organization that is under the banner of Antifa is very loosely organized, right? So that, yeah, when there's like right-wing rallies
organizations like
Hey, beautiful.
Wow.
I post calendar every week. And so, like, it's, and I do it for extra credit. So they get points for doing it. Like, so that encourages them to do it. Like, I have an Antifa flag on my wall. And a student complained about that, and he said it made him uncomfortable. And I addressed it to everyone because I didn't know who he was. And I was like, oh, this is meant to be. Gosh, just feel uncomfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable, I don't really notice it. Like,
What the fuck?
you shouldn't be aligning with the values that this is antithetical to. Yeah. And it's hard not to
Make the revolutionaries that got TikTok and guys doing that is.
well, that's just it. It's like, utilize that propaganda.
This specific quote right over here, utilize that propaganda. Create revolutionaries. Essentially proving every claim that I made at the start of this video. It's not about teaching your children. It's not about educating them. It's about using them as a tool for their political ambitions. That's not an education. That's, frankly, child abuse. It's the same level of Michael Jackson's father using his children to create an empire, a pop star empire, depriving them of a healthy childhood and a healthy life in general because of his ambitions. It's the same thing. Communist activist teachers not teaching your kids to be productive members of society, or teaching your kids to think critically and learn about the world and develop a moral skill set or rational worldview that you would support as a parent. It's about taking the parent out of the equation and imprinting themselves as failed Twitter activist social studies majors onto your children. And that's absolutely twisted. And if you were outed as doing so, you deserve to get fired. That's not cancel culture. You are not a teacher and should not be in the classroom, period. That's what I got for you guys, though. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share it as much as possible. I gotta get back to
That was my
work. Thanks
fault.
for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Every single time Joe Biden shows up on that stage and tries to make things better, he makes things worse. I ask you guys this question all the time. Are you stupid? Are you incompetent? Can you not think for yourself? I don't think so, but Joe Biden certainly thinks you are. The way him and his administration stand on that podium and speak mistruths or try to direct the conversation so disingenuously into an area where he believes he'll be perceived positively is just out of this world patronizing. And so once again, I want to go over Joe Biden's speech. I want to go over little snippets and refute some of the points that he was making, or just show you exactly how much of a political hack this man truly is. I very rarely do videos like this, but just watching the speech last night was frustrating, and I really want to get my opinion out on each and every point. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers, and with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright guys, so it started from the very start. In fact, right when he started speaking, within the first 30 seconds of his speech, automatically I was ready to make this video, and automatically I thought to myself, this man has learned absolutely nothing. Let's start off with what he said in the first 30 seconds.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. We completed one of the biggest airlifts in history, with more than 120,000 people evacuated to safety. That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history.
And so after seeing the disaster in Afghanistan unfold, Joe Biden is trying to direct the conversation into the greatest airlift operation in world history. No country has ever done this before. You know why no country has ever had to evacuate so many people in such a short period of time? Because no world leader has ever gotten their country into this much of a mess in such a short period of time and needing to react the way that you reacted. The reason so many people needed to be airlifted, the reason U.S. military members had to react the way that they did in the first place, was to clean up your mess. And now you sit at that podium and try to take credit for it and try to undo all the harm that you did in Afghanistan over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And to say something like that just fresh off 13 U.S. service members losing their lives because of your incompetent decision making, leaving them isolated and vulnerable at the Kabul airport, is just beyond me. Instead of showing compassion, instead of showing an ounce of regret and saying we got ourselves in a mess, but we're trying to clean it up and I'm going to do everything I can for you to make sure that we do the right thing going forward, Joe Biden stands up there as if he's won an Emmy or an Oscar, trying to claim as if he's done something historic. Get out of here. Then Mr. The Buck Stops With Me goes directly into what he's been doing from the start, blaming literally everybody but himself, starting off once again with justification, with trying to justify his failure. We've heard it over.
Hi Commanders, this is Kevin and this is Henrik from the Warpath community team, and welcome to today's patch preview.
Over again, the guy sounds like a broken record. Okay, we
Fuck
get
is
it.
that?
It wasn't your fault, Joe. It was
That
the
was
Afghans'
mad
fault for
loud.
not fighting the Taliban.
I still instructed
Sounded
our
like a
national security
ghost.
team to prepare for every eventuality, even that one. And that's what we did. So we were ready when the Afghan security forces, after 2 decades of fighting for their country, and losing thousands of their own, did not hold on as long as anyone expected. We were ready when they, the people of Afghanistan, watched their own government collapse and their president flee amid the corruption and malfeasance, handing over the country to their enemy, the Taliban, and significantly increasing the risk to U.S. personnel and our allies.
They fell quicker than anybody expected. And anybody expected, once again, another fallacy. I've showed you guys the clip 3 or 4 times. Vice News in 2013 predicted this. Intel agencies and intel officials had been warning Joe Biden for months, literally months, that this exact scenario was going to happen, and then he claims that he was prepared for all contingencies? Clearly not, considering Joe Biden just turned the Talibans into one of the most notorious arm-dealing nations on the planet, at least in the short term, with access to near 1 million weapons. What do you think they're going to do with that? They're going to use those weapons and